Well, hi. My name is Annalise Longfellow. You can call me Annalise or Miss Longfellow, whatever you prefer. I'm so glad that you're able to come here today and be able to connect with me so we can talk about what you've been feeling recently. I understand your name is Ben. Do you go by anything else?
Nope, Ben, he, him pronouns, and yeah.
Okay, great. I understand this meeting is to talk about some stress and anxiety you've been having about school. Am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Ben, I want you to know that I'm here to learn about you and be able to help you to the best of my ability. But before we start the meeting, I do need to go over this informed consent. It just talks about some confidentiality, some limits we have, other resources, a lot of different things. And it's a lot of information. But I have this for you so you can go over it.
Okay.
But if there's any time you need to stop me to ask me questions about it, or if you just are confused, feel free to stop me at any time. Okay? All right, here you go.
Thank you.
So first off, I'm a certified licensed social worker with my LSW, and I work here at Pembroke University as the university's therapist. With this in mind, I do have some duties as a social worker that confine me to the laws of confidentiality. This means that anything we say in here will be kept in this office. It's going to be in a locked box that I keep over here. Only I have access to it. Same thing with electronic files. I keep my computer locked in here in the office at night so no one can get to it. The only person who will maybe remove these notes are my supervisor, and just to look over them if I have any concerns or that we're going to meet with you. Another reason that someone could see them is if you signed a ROI, which is a release of information. So if you feel like your mom or your dad or somebody who you trust would be comfortable, you'd be comfortable sharing this information with what we talk about in this session. So they would receive that and we could be able to talk about that with them. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you see me in public, you're welcome to come say hi. I'll say hi back, but that will be the end of probably our conversation, especially regarding if you're going to talk to me about confidential information, because I'm not supposed to talk about that outside of this office, because it can get me in trouble and I don't feel like wanting to share your private information. So there are limits regarding confidentiality. As a social worker, I'm a mandatory reporter, which means that I have to report certain things if I feel like they might be crossing the line of confidentiality regarding our code of ethics, which means if you are harming yourself, planning to harm someone else, or think or suspect that there might be an abuse of an elderly person or a child. So I have to make that call whenever that happens. If I'm making that call, you are welcome to stay in the room when I make it. But that does not mean that you have to stay. You can leave, but otherwise the call will still be made regardless. Do you have any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay. So there are minimal risks related to this service. While I'm not going to tell anyone that you're receiving this service, I cannot ensure that when you walk out of this office that there might be somebody who sees you who might talk about it or anything else. Other than that, that's the only really limit or risk we have to that service.
Okay.
Financially speaking, this service is entirely free. It is offered to you if you're a part-time or full-time student and it's enrolled in your tuition. So you will not be paying for this service.
Awesome.
If you feel at any time that this service is not working for you or you need to talk to somebody else, I can point you to those resources as well. Just let me know. I work throughout the week, particularly from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I can also do Zoom meetings if that is more comfortable for you. If these hours don't work with your schedule, let me know and I can move it around. If not, I can point you to another therapist here, or I can go and maybe contact other places. There's also services such as telehealth, which are free, or there's crisis line where you can call, and there's other areas around the campus that can also help you with that. Other things.
Awesome.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So these meetings are set up every other week, and they usually last about 55 minutes. They're in this office every week, so the location does not change.
Okay.
If you do not attend the meeting, that is fine. I'll send you an email asking, hey, you didn't attend the meeting. Was there something going on? We can respond to that or just show up to the next meeting. If we have not heard from you in a month, we will terminate your services and we'll send you a letter or email or both saying, hey, we're terminating services since you haven't showed up. We just don't know what's going on. If you just got away from you and didn't show up, that's fine. Just shoot us an email or a call saying, hey, I'm going to show up for my next meeting. I just got away from me.
Sure.
Okay. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. Regarding policy and technology, if you do need to reschedule a meeting, you're going to need to contact the front desk, which the number is written on the card, which I'll give you on the end of the meeting today. And you just have to call them to reschedule. If you shoot me an email or a call, I might be with a client, not respond to it accordingly, and then schedules can get mixed up. So that's just all you have to do with that. If you try to friend me on social media, I'm going to have to decline that. It's not because I don't like you or anything like that, but this is a professional relationship, and doing that would cross a professional boundary that we have. So that's everything. Do you have any questions or concerns before we proceed today?
No.
Okay, great. Alrighty then. So, how are you feeling today?
Good. I mean, yeah, I'm doing all right.
Okay. Do you want to expand on that? Why are you feeling good today?
It's good because the end of the semester is coming up, and it's going well, but it's been stressful. It's been a lot. Finals week is coming up, and I've got trying to catch up on classes, and sometimes it just feels overwhelming with the number of assignments I've got, and I've got some of these larger projects I still need to catch up on, yeah.
So you're feeling really stressed about all that because it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stress and anxiety about deadlines, and just wondering if I could get it all done in time.
So even after you get stuff done on time, do you still feel stressed after that?
I think I feel like relieved at first.
Mm-hmm.
It's like weight has been lifted off my shoulders, but at the same time, it's still, I don't think the stress goes entirely away.
Yeah. Even after you feel relieved, the stress still comes back.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that it sounds like you get your things done on time mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct with that statement?
Yeah.
But it's just really stressful for the end of finals and the semester, just trying to get everything in on time and trying to make sure that you are meeting those deadlines. That can put a lot of stress on you when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you really value SWK and it's really important to you. Is that right?
Yeah, I definitely, I take my academics probably the most seriously. I want to work really hard as well. I'm in school here, and it's hard because it's difficult to balance that, putting enough time away for myself, and not putting my academics before myself, and my efforts to take care of myself, and everything. Sometimes I think part of the overwhelmed feelings is just like I'm not taking the time to properly check in with myself and take care of myself sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So you have self-care sometimes gets away from you.
Yeah, and it's like I don't really know what to do sometimes because I'm feeling overwhelmed, and sometimes I just kind of feel helpless. Like I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely can be that's a very valid feeling to have when you are not valuing your self-care and putting other priorities. Sometimes a feeling of helplessness can come over because you're just trying to do everything you can, but it's still not working.
Yeah.
So is there a certain class that has been regarding the biggest source of stress for you?
I have this marketing class that's it's this 4,000 level course it's got a lot of homework and a lot of reading in it, and I try and keep up, but like sometimes it feels like I'm always trying to catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel anxious right now being at this therapy session?
A little bit, I think meeting new people sometimes is difficult, but...
Do you have issues with social settings in general with meeting new people? Or is it just more of like this setting of being in therapy?
I think it's usually meeting new people in general.
Okay. So a little bit of social anxiety.
Yeah, a little bit of social anxiety. It's nothing major, but it is like it's it's hard because you know currently I live alone right now, and it's difficult because I feel like meeting new people doesn't come at least easy to me. And then adding on that I'm already stressed, and and like a new class at the beginning of the semester, I'm trying to meet and remember 27 new names.
Yeah, definitely. That can be really stressful.
Yeah.
Have you been stressed about schoolwork before? Is this a new thing for you?
No, that's not new to me. At least it's been a common theme throughout college.
Do you think it's just been bigger since you're getting closer and closer to just like finishing everything?
Yeah, like especially this semester, I think just like I'm a third year student, and it's that anxiety building up of like I've got to find like a job, internships and everything, and as the end of college comes near, the pressure is on, it feels like.
Okay. So you are kind of shifting a little bit with your hands and fidgeting with things. Are you nervous, or are you just kind of jittery, or are you anxious?
A little anxious. I think I just fidget with my hands fairly often, especially in like a one-on-one social situation kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that this marketing course is what's really causing most of your stress, and that has led you to the conclusion that you are that's what's causing your big source of stress.
It's the primary source of my stress, yes. Okay. Part of it is just like the professor she's a good professor, but she's a strict professor.
Yeah.
She's the kind of professor, at least, that she doesn't take late work, and she deals out a lot of homework, and she's a great teacher. It just like she just is difficult, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay. So based on what I've heard so far, it sounds like we have to identify that that is one of the classes that you have is what's really causing a lot more of this stress.
Yeah.
And that you feel relief after you get your work done, but it's lumping on more and more, so it can be more, difficult. But is the stress affecting your life in any way?
Yeah, I think it's taking a toll on like, especially my mental health. Mentally, I'm like, of course I'm stressed out, but then it also causes me to be like, I feel like I have like nights where I get like, really upset and then some days, I'll just be like either sad or, just don't want to get out of bed, or, I'll don't really want to go to class. And
by upset, do you mean you'll get sad, or like do you mean like you'll get angry?
More so sad. It's particularly difficult because I live alone, and so like I don't have any like resources to lean on, for when I get sad or when I get anxious. And so
do you have any friends or family that like is in your support circle?
I've got family. They just live up north of me, and so I see friends at class and everything, but in particular it's difficult to at least for me, to have a reliable system of support, if that makes sense.
Is the reason why it might be not a reliable system of support is because you feel like you don't want to talk to it about them, or do you just feel like your friends might be ahead of you? Is there some reason why you don't think that they would want to talk to you about it?
I think it's in part because some of them are like newer friends.
Gotcha.
And like, I've only met them this semester. I've got this one friend in one of my classes that I've known for a couple years. And we hang out every once in a while, but it's not quite like the friend that I'd like, talk on like in this kind of professional relationship where I share more information about my personal life and how my mental life is
So
doing.
you're a little bit more closed off with
That would describe it. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that your style is mild or like severe? How would you say? What would you say?
I would say my stress is more mild. It's not necessarily anything that's it may affect my day-to-day life, but it's not something that particularly it's nothing extreme.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it goes as far as that.
Okay. All right. So what I'd like to ask you if so as you said you've experienced this kind of stress before, so it's not new to you. Can you think of a time where you were really stressed and how you overcame that, stress that you had that one time?
Yeah. I think so. Recently, I had this larger project, right? It was this big project that we've been working on all semester, and it was for my developmental psychology course, and so it was this course project where I had to, in particular, I had to do this like presentation, and it had to be a certain number of pages, and it was difficult, especially for me, because I had, the time to do it, but, I procrastinated, of course. And, as it came down to the last final 2 to 3 weeks or so of doing it, I was scrambling to find all of these research papers and studies and then put them all together in a presentation. Then it'd be like, 20 plus slides, which at first didn't seem like it would be that hard, but as the day that it was due came fast approaching, it seemed more and more like it was difficult.
Okay. And how did you overcome that?
I think I overcame it because I was able to step back for, I would go take a break and go eat lunch, in somewhere else in my apartment. And then, or I'd take a walk outside, and that helped me kind of separate, it seemed from my work at least.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it just felt so overwhelming. I'd just get lost staring at my work for so long.
Do you have any skills that you rely on when things get tough in general?
That's a good question.
It's okay if you don't know.
No, it's a good question. I think I'd like to say I'm I'm a versatile. I'm good at adapting. And so when a new difficult or challenging situation comes up, I feel like I'm fairly good at just being able to quickly switch course in order to best complete that task.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that because what you've been talking to me about, I've seen that you have really big strengths in a lot of different areas. Like you talked about how you're adaptable, be able to look back at the situation, realize that you're focusing too much on it and you need to change course, which is really important. It's a really good skill to have. You seem very mindful of yourself, very understanding about how you're feeling. You do some self-care stuff, even if you feel like it gets away from you, like taking a walk, making sure you eat, making sure that you're still trying to give yourself time to walk away from work, not overworking yourself. You also say that your academics are really important, and they really matter to you, so I can see that you're very driven. You seem very organized with trying to make sure that you get everything done on time and stuff like that. So these are all really great strengths you can really use to help you. Especially if you're feeling down about yourself, like you talked about, you can definitely use strengths to make it more, easier to see what you need to do.
Yeah.
So, what I think we should do is try to come to a goal that we can work on together. And I think what a great goal we could work on was maybe trying to. Before I ask you that, what goals would you like to work on? Is there any goals that you would like to work on?
That is a great question. I think part of me came into this meeting thinking that, like, part of, like, the whole stress that I've been feeling over school lately has just been that it's like that sense of helplessness almost. Like, I can only go outside or take a lunch break so many times in a day that, like, I guess I'm just lacking some support or structure of, like, how to de-stress besides just eating an apple.
Okay. Do you know anything about coping mechanisms?
Not really, no.
Okay. So coping mechanisms is like another thing of self-care. It can be like meditation or even going for a walk is part of self-care, where you can just take some time to relax, let your thoughts kind of just, journaling is another one that can be really good. So I think what we could work on is maybe trying to find some coping mechanisms that would work for you that can help you de-stress.
Okay.
I think that might be a really good goal. It's really, they are positive mostly, and I think that next time we meet for our appointment, we can talk about if you've thought of any, if you've seen any, and by a certain time, like let's say like February 8th or maybe closer to midterms, we can see if you have been using those coping skills.
Okay.
So midterms are around like mid-March. Do you know the exact day when they are?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. So whenever we meet back, I'll look up when the midterms are, and then that can be our set date when we have found at least maybe let's say 2 coping mechanisms that you have found that have really helped.
That seems doable.
So we're gonna find coping mechanisms. You can look up different ones, or you can ask friends if they have any. You can ask me. We can tell you about different ones that we have that I've tapped that we think might work for you.
Okay.
And then once you found those, I would like you to try them when you're feeling stressed.
Okay.
And see if the stress has decimated, increased, or if you feel no change.
Okay.
Try to try them a couple times a week just to see if they work.
Okay, sure.
And if they do work, make sure you write them down and keep on trying them. And I'll ask you next week if you found any, or if you need some more help, or if we need to restructure that goal.
Okay.
One of the ones I use a lot is box breathing.
Okay.
Which is very simple. You just would breathe in through your nose for 4 counts. Like breathe in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and exhale with your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then hold that for 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just repeat that maybe 4 times.
And what's that called again?
It's called box breathing.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's like a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that can work. That's what I do when I need to de-stress or anything like that. So based on what we've talked about, I think that our time is almost up today. I'd just like to go over what we talked about today and talked about the anxiety. We talked about, this era of your life, the stress of the school you're having. We talked about what is most stressing for you, if it's affecting, your social life. Do you have a social circle? If it's severe, mild. And then we talked about, the coping mechanisms we might try. And our goal was that you're going to have some steps and setting a general goal about trying to find some coping mechanisms. And this task that we have for you, so next time when I see you, we have agreed that you're going to try to look for some, and when you feel stressed, you're going to try to use them to see if it does anything else help you, de-stress, or if you feel that they're not working. And then if that's the case, we can restructure your goal and look together for some more coping mechanisms that could help you. So I have you down next week for 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay. Was there anything that we worked on today that you thought was helpful for you?
I think the finding coping mechanisms was especially helpful. Really quick, what kind of you mentioned meditation earlier, and I just wanted to, I guess, ask about that. Like, I feel like I've heard of apps or different techniques, but I don't really know much about them.
Yeah.
Do you know of any that would be helpful for stress exactly?
Yes. So there is this one app I know called Calm, or I think there's one that's also called Pulse as well. Basically what those do is they're apps where you can just listen to it, and they will guide you through a meditation, really calm voice, just talk to you about what you need to go through, and they'll help you do that. You can even do that if you're going for a walk. Listen to that while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Especially being in nature can also be very therapeutic, very helpful meditation thing by just having that movement as well as listening to an app or even a calming story or just listening to the nature around you can also be a very good meditation.
Okay.
There's many different ways you can use meditation.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for apps, I would look up Calm or Pulse, or I think those both are really good apps you can use for meditation as well.
Thank you so much.
And do you have any final questions for me today?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, great. Well, I'm so glad you could come in today. It was very nice meeting you, Ben.
It's very nice meeting you too.
And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.